Hello people, Jugglet here. And it has been a hot minute since I've done one of these concepts, and you all voted, and this is the one concept I've wanted to do for a while. The Thing, also known as John Carpenter's The Thing. If you don't know what The Thing is, it's like a sci-fi horror, but I'll give you a brief description. In remote Antarctica, a group of American research scientists are disturbed at their base camp by a helicopter shooting at a sled dog. When they take in the dog, it brutally attacks both the humans and the canines in the camp, and they discover that the beast can assume the shape of its victims. A resourceful helicopter pilot, Kurt Russell, lead the camp crew in a desperate, gory battle against this vicious creature before it picks them all off one by one. So the new survivor, in my opinion, would have to be Kurt Russell, just because, well, I mean, come on, it's Kurt Russell. The Thing is an extremely hostile shape-shifting organism, and it has the ability to assimilate other life forms in order to survive and spread. So it's a shapeshifter, which most people will argue that it can't be done in this game, as Swifts with comms could easily counter it, but I disagree. I think an idea can be executed properly and still be difficult for all variations of DVD players and to play against it. So here's my idea. The Thing, aka the Mimic, will start the trial as one of the 4 survivors. The Thing has the option of running at 100% with 0 terror radius or 115% movement speed by pressing the secondary action button. The Thing is basically an M1 killer with a 32 meter terror radius. Here's the catch. Every time the Thing injures a survivor, it gains a stack of DNA. Each stack of DNA is separate for each survivor, similar to the Doctor's Madness work. Once a survivor has been hooked twice, if that survivor has 4 stacks of DNA, it is killable by your hand with a separate Mori animation. Once a survivor has been injured by the Thing, he/she suffers from the Oblivious status effect for 45 seconds. And after 45 seconds, a copy of that survivor will emerge from the survivor. It will be an exact copy of that survivor. Now that bots are in the game, this will be a lot easier to add. So the clone version of that survivor will run around the map similar to a bot and start working on gens. The only difference is the clone survivor will digress gens at 50% speed. If a survivor is also working on the same gen and managed to hit 2 great skill checks, the clone leaves the gen alone. After 60 seconds of gen digression, the clone version will run to the nearest pallet and seep into the pallet. The pallet then becomes infected, and infected pallets can be thrown like any normal pallet, but they break instantly, just like event pallets. Throwing an infected pallet causes the survivor to become infected and lose a health state. The Thing can teleport to infected clones if it wants to, but doing so consumes a clone and grants the Thing a haste buff of 7.5% for 15 seconds. The Thing in this form looks visually different, maybe a little bit more fleshy, and a maximum of 4 clones can be active at any one time, so you can't get too overrun on the map. You probably think, this is a lot and how do you counter it? Well, let me try and break it down a little bit. Once a survivor is put into the dying state, the infection dies with it. That's the main counter. So this is a hit and run killer with gen slowdown. Most hit and run killers are usually best played by tunneling. This way, this killer is rewarded for leaving each survivor infected. Healing an infected survivor causes the clone to appear as soon as a survivor is healed. So you heal a survivor to full health, and then the clone just emerges from them and starts working on degressing gens. And there can only be 4 at one time. The way this killer could be played out is like this. You spawn into a trial, you go into 100% movement speed mode with 0 terror radius, sneak up to survivors, or if not, swap into 115% movement speed, then get an M1, causing that survivor to be infected and oblivious. Now if you want, you can focus that survivor and down them, but that will cause the infection to die as it needs to live in a host. So, your best bet is to make it to another survivor and go for them. Keep infecting and spreading clones around the map. This is where the skill cap comes into play, as you have choices. You can teleport to clones or let them spread onto pallets, making either the map easier in the endgame or making the survivors suffer by being speedy. The choice is yours. Once you've got a couple infected, you're best off focusing someone. Once they're hooked, your clones will be working behind the scenes for you, digressing gens and generally slowing the game down. And that's the killer out of the way. Now onto the perks. Perk 1 is Scourge Hook Plenty. This causes 2 more Scourge Hooks to spawn per trial, and all Scourge Hook gains 5% more power. So that's kind of nice, and it can make Scourge Hook builds a little bit better. Perk 2 would be Scourge Hook Fallen. Anytime a Scourge Hook is sabotaged, that survivor loses a health state. Also, anytime a normal hook is sabotaged, that becomes a Scourge Hook for the remainder of the trial. So with both these perks, you've got 2 Scourge Hooks, which is kind of nice because I feel like there's not enough of them in the game, and I do think they're a really cool addition to Dead by Daylight, and I wish there was more of them. And now onto perk 3, Hex Plethora. You can rekindle a destroyed totem, which grants buffs per totem rekindled. So it's very similar to Hex Pentimento, but with a slight twist. 1 stack grants 2% movement speed to the killer. 2 stacks, survivors have 25% louder footsteps and breathing. 3 stacks, survivors suffer from a 2% hindered states effect. 4 stacks, survivors suffer from the exposed status effect, and then at 5 stacks, all totems are blocked by the entity. So it's got the similar kind of thing as what Hex Pentimento has, but completely different. Anyway, I hope you like this idea, and if you have any thoughts of your own for this killer, then keep them to yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Just leave a comment. It was a fun design, so yeah, that's it. Like, subscribe, and other YouTube things. Take care.